isn't this just like the best, even with the heat? In case you missed it, because when I was here for the first time, I totally missed it. We spent like an hour on the rooftop, and then I was about to go back downstairs, and I'm like, oh my God, that's the Griffith Observatory right there. I could touch it. Hi, Faizan. Yes, skip the chairs with the sun. This is a conversation that I'm having all the time, so I'm going to have a tough time moderating because I'm just so interested in listening to what you have to say that I'm going to be like, I also need to ask questions. Because I'm talking about AI all the time, nonstop, with my friends, people who are working in the industry. And it's a topic that, wow, great time to start whatever they started. On the queue. But this is a topic that I hope, and all of you who are working in film, or even if you're not working in film, this is something that I'm sure that you are discussing all the time. So let's jump right in. AI has, in the last couple of years, like many invention, I'm sure that in the background it was just happening for 20 plus years, but in the last couple of years, it just like very rapidly has inserted itself in our lives, in our conversations. And it's little bit of overwhelming situation because none of us know how to exist with AI fully. There are so many different ways that AI has just inserted itself in our lives. Like there are so many different ways that AI is now part of my life that I haven't fully comprehended. So it feels a bit overwhelming. And same is the case with the film industry, which I hope that a lot of you in the audience are also part of. If you're part of film industry, AI is in all the aspects of filmmaking. It can write your scripts. It can supplement or support your production designers. It can make Tom Hanks younger. It cannot resurrect Anthony Bourdain, but it can perfectly reproduce his voice. And if you are in post-production, if you're in VFX, that's a whole different conversation. I have numbers here. In 2024, AI in film, the industry was worth $1.8 billion. And it's projected to go to $14.1 billion by 2033. And if you're wondering, yes, I got those numbers from AI. So we could be talking to potential billionaires. I need to become better friends with you guys. And there's so much to talk about. I'm going to just share the names of our panelists. I'm going to pass on the microphone, and we're going to start with sharing your background and also your apps, how they support filmmakers. Before I do that, I'm Nidhin Patel. I'm a full-time film educator. I teach at Cal State LA. I teach film production. That's my mainstay. I also freelance as a producer, director. I work with several film nonprofits, including New Filmmakers LA and Hollywood Climate Summit, both amazing organizations. If you want to talk about it, I love to talk about both of those organizations and people there. And I'm somebody who is just curious about how film is innovating itself all the time. So again, this is a very important, relevant, and exciting conversation for me. With us, we have Michael Cioni from Strada. We have Tyler Knohl from Hiike. Then we have Yaron Klainer from IMGN AI and Daniel Rojas from Rafy App. Once again, I would pass on the microphone if the need be, but tell us something about yourself, your applications, your resources, and how do they support filmmakers? Because we all need to know that AI goes beyond just ChatGPT. It's like, I'm sure that a lot of you are looking into all different kinds of apps, but usually for a layman, when we think of AI, we are thinking of ChatGPT or Gemini. AI is like a million different apps beyond that, which represented by all of you amazing resources. So let's start with you, Michael.
Cool. My name is Michael Cioni. Thanks so much. Oh, do I have to do that?
Yeah,
there we go. Hey, I'm Michael Cioni. Thanks so much for letting me be here. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been a filmmaker for a very, very long time. I've worked on almost 100 feature films, and throughout that process, I have always been striving to introduce new technology for the benefit of creative control. And I think what creatives are always needing is to improve their ability to control the visions better. And so that's always driven me, and Strada is my fourth startup. And I guess we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but it is always in pursuit of creative control.
Hi, I'm Tyler, the co-founder of Hiike, along with John Fitzgerald, who was just on a panel previously, and Bryn. She's not here, but she's amazing. And we connect filmmakers with the right festivals. So we offer a smart submission platform for filmmakers, and festivals are able to manage their platforms and manage their submissions and people on a more streamlined, easy way. And we use machine learning to connect you with the right festivals and match you based on a similarity score.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yaron from IMGN. IMGN is a production management platform that's put a goal of harness technology to the benefit of filmmakers, both on the physical operation, how we can make production more feasible, reducing time and cost, and increasing efficiency and capacity. And the second point is how we can build a tool to transition from the physical into the generative AI as well. So filmmaker will have under one suit all of the needs for the physical operation of live action, breakdown, scheduling, location, casting department, but also the ability to generate images and video directly from your script, whether it's storyboard, video board, trailer, and even complete live scenes.
And I'm Daniel Rojas, co-founder of Rafy App, with my wife right there, Jamila, who's an actress. And our app is an app for actors to self-tape with a smart partner. So when actors are trying to audition, they don't have to be looking for someone to help them audition. So our app works as an acting partner on demand.
I'll continue in the same vein with the next question. What inspired the creation of these resources, especially for a couple of you who are co-founders or creators of these platforms as well? And if there are any case studies, if you have heard feedback from users, filmmakers who have used these apps and genuinely have had a positive experience.
So I'm the CEO of a product called Strada, and like a lot of products that are founded, it's all based on your own suffering, right? The best businesses are ones that you build because you're in pain. Strada is a solution to a problem, which is that we all pay for too much cloud storage, and you always get those emails that say you need to add more terabytes because you're shooting too much. And as creatives, we're always shooting. And unless we stop shooting, we're always going to need to put it in the cloud. So my story is just getting one too many requests to pay clouds like Dropbox and Google Drive and Frame.io and LucidLink and WeTransfer and Aspera and Signiant and all those products that I am told I have to put in the cloud to collaborate. And I don't want to do that. So we built a peer-to-peer network that connects everybody's hard drives to each other. So you just share from your hard drive to someone else's hard drive, and you don't pay Jeff Bezos for a tax in the middle. And so I think for me, it's all about listening to users' biggest pain points. And we want to solve a problem and solve a job to be done. And for a lot of people, they want to collaborate, but they can't afford to put it in the cloud, especially if you have big files and low bandwidth. And so I get users all the time just saying, I can't afford to move things because it's too big, too slow, and my camera files are huge, but I need to show my files to other people. And so we built a way to obfuscate the cloud in that process.
Yeah, wonderful. Yes.
Awesome. So Hiike has a very cute backstory. So my co-founder, Bryn, went to school at Emerson College, and she noticed that a lot of filmmakers were making all of these films, but they weren't going anywhere. And she couldn't understand why. They were going to YouTube, they were going to Vimeo, but they weren't making anything. They spent a lot of money and nothing happened. And she was like, why isn't there a platform other than, hate to say it, Film Freeway, that you could actually find and research which festivals are right for you and distribute on a right to do platform? So backstory again, she got around $350 for 4 shorts, and she got all of them into Oscar qualifying festivals with such a small budget, which is really the case study of it all. And so many people were contacting her from different universities around the country. And she was like, wow, we have something here. So she started building that October 2023, and we met in June. I'm the CTO of Hiike, so I do all of the technical stuff. And at the time, talking about problems, I was working as the assistant festival director of a film festival in Boston. And I was like, wow, there are so many problems on the festival side of this as well. You can't manage your submissions, you can't talk to clients. Why is there nothing better? So we met on LinkedIn, and we really collaborated and used software and machine learning to mitigate the risk of spray and pray. I'm sure a lot of filmmakers know the spray and pray festival model, and using that and finding out that all of these students found Hiike to be so amazing and reliable is how we are here today, and we launched July 1st, so we're still babies, but we're doing really well.
So I have to say my story is a bit more technical, less hard feeling. I'm coming from product design and behavioral psychology. One of the founder of the company is an executive producer with over 30 years of experience. And when we sat together almost 4 years ago, tried to understand how to really utilize technology for the better of filmmaking. And one of course, the research led us the starting point to Movie Magic, where I assume everybody is familiar. And Movie Magic, EP Entertainment Partner, is an amazing company. And at the 90s, it was an amazing product as well. The problem that we are not in the 90s anymore, and not from the generational wise, and also not from the requirement of filmmakers. Filmmakers need a tool to really help them, technology to be an assistance, to reduce the time, to reduce the cost, to increase efficiency, and you can do it with a on-permit software that only touches manual breakdown and manual scheduling. So we aggregated all of the workflow under one hub, as noted before, from breakdown to scheduling, to casting, to location, to department, and of course production reports, and integrated different AI models and automation. We aggregate over 15 different models, whether it's text models like Claude or GPT for different tasks, from automatic script breakdown, including synopsis and element search. For casting, you have automatic character description, and using the visual model character prototyping as well to create consistency, for example, in the storyboard. In the location area, you can do in-app scouting. So we derive the information from your script and search for relevant places wherever you want, all over the world, to also increase the scouting workflow. We have over 150 productions that have used us today, from short film to large budgets, ranging from features that were aired on Netflix, Paramount, and even Amazon. And we see that the advantage is not only on the physical level, that we do reduce significant amount of time and cost from pre-production, increase efficiency. For every production company that's having a script getting greenlit, for every one script, there are thousands that will never see the day of light. Not going into the quality now discussion. We also have mega blockbuster that you can discuss about the quality of them. But for sure, part of the reason is the operational reason. So this is what we're trying to address. And also, over 60% of everything that is getting greenlit will lose money. It's not sustainable and it's not feasible. So we think technology and new technology can change it. So already today, production company that does dozens of script analysis using Imagen to significantly reduce the time and the cost. Where in the conventional workflow, you need an AD or a UPM or line producer for 2 or 3 weeks just to get the initial breakdown and initial scheduling. With Imagen, you can do it in 1 or 2 days. So not only reduce the time and increase efficiency, you can get the answer much faster. And then you can, of course, revise the script or revise your board and anything else needed.
Yeah, our app Rafy solves a pretty specific problem, which is that actors nowadays have to audition by themselves, by recording themselves, what is called a self-tape. And that was something that changed in the past few years. The actors used to go into casting offices and they would have someone that would assist them in reading the other parts. But now that actors record at home, they're always having to ask for favors from friends, partners, other actors. So our app solves that one big problem, and it comes again from kind of personal story. My wife here is an actress, and especially during the pandemic, it was difficult to get together with other actor friends. And that's when the idea came that now with AI, we could build a partner that can listen to you, respond to you, and follow a script. And also gives you the ability to do this at any time without having to depend on anyone and having to be, rotating your friends, because it's like, oh, I already asked this one, I already asked that one, I already did that. Now you just do as many takes as you want on your own time.
How many of you have used AI in the audience? Raise your hand if you've used AI. How many of you have used AI which is not ChatGPT? Okay, cool. This is great because now we are starting into the conversation or bringing into the conversation that there are so many different ways that AI can really impact the workflows, change not just a single part of the production, but all different aspects of production, from auditioning or just scheduling and, organizing your entire production, or film festival, which is, I love the spray and pray expression. That is like, again, I don't know why I've never heard that, but that makes
it's the
complete
best.
sense.
It makes total sense. And I want to add one more thing
Yeah,
that I
sure,
realized
go
I
ahead.
forgot. Before Film Freeway, there was Without a Box, and there was a patent that Without a Box had that expired in 2023. Bryn and I spent about, 15 hours sitting there with a fine tooth and comb going through this patent. And what was so interesting was that all of the if-then statements that are available in AI today were in that patent years and years ago. I think it was like the patent was from like 2001, but I can't remember the exact date. But that was something that we found to be so interesting, and that's why there were no other companies within the United States, because Film Freeway started in Canada. So that patent expired when Bryn and I just met, and we were like, okay, this is the time, and everything was evolving. So it was very interesting.
Yeah, that's such an interesting story. Or with Strada, which, like, I saw your video from NAB, Michael, just like, again, blew my mind that you were showing how you were just connecting with somebody in Australia, which was fantastic. I want to make a little sidebar and mention that we want to welcome audience Q&A. We'll have a few minutes at the end, but if there is an urgent question which is relevant to what we are talking about, please raise your hand and we'll pass on the microphone, or we'll hear your question. I'll repeat it. The fact is that every few years, I think filmmaking changes. If we go back to the beginning, like every few years, how we make film completely changes. And I also admit that, human beings respond to change with panic, first of all. Like, our first response is, I don't want that to change. Same happened when we went from silent movies to talkies. Orson Welles was concerned when we started making color movies, because he's like, oh, the performance is going to change. Everybody thought that when we went from film to digital, that was the end of our art form, which wasn't the case. But AI feels like a completely different beast because it has infinite capabilities. Even Steven Spielberg has expressed his concerns. And I think a lot of these concerns come from, the main thing is that we do not know just how much AI can do because it's just infinite. There are new things happening every single day, new apps coming every single day. And then the big concern is the job market and how human employment is being impacted by AI. What are your thoughts on that? Do you also share the concern that, AI is going to come and take away jobs?
It's a great question. I actually don't share that concern at the moment, because if you actually think about this panel right here, everything that we're mentioning so far in AI is categorically in what I call a utilitarian form. AI is a utility. For example, all of you probably used AI to get here because you put in an address and it showed you how to drive here. That's AI. That's AI that's been around for 30 years, right? And so that is a utilitarian form of artificial intelligence, right? It isn't what we aren't talking about here very much, which is what Spielberg and all these fearmongers are talking about, is generative AI. Mm-hmm. And while Imagine can do some generative AI and elements like that, I actually think I believe there's going to be an AI bubble burst, because the companies that are exclusively built on generative AI technologies are, in my opinion, overvalued. And they have extremely high valuations without a lot of adoption. They do great demonstrations, but my guess is, if I asked everybody here, how many of you are using generative AI on your content every day? I bet nobody would raise their hand, because you're probably not generating AI content every single day. And generative AI needs you to do that in order to justify the valuations that they have. So I think there's going to be a repatriation of AI generatively used, and utilitarian AI, which is AI that can help the filmmakers break down a script, train on a workflow, or I'm sorry, a script, and you're breaking it down, you're rehearsing it, right? You're submitting it. And then I do transcription and face detection and emotion detection, so you can find clips and things like that. So utilitarian AI to me is the most valuable aspect of AI for our creative community. And if we are going to create things in real life, I think, one last thing. You know how when a movie starts and there's a sign, a line that comes up that says, this is based on a true story. When that happens, you almost shift in your seat because you decide to watch that movie completely differently than if it was totally a teleplay that was totally based in fiction, right? I believe that as a human, we know that if something's based in reality, we change how we consume it. And therefore, if we learn that things are made with AI, we will devalue them in our head, and things that are real, we value up. And so this is an opportunity for filmmakers to take advantage of, not run away from.
So I share the exact same perspective. And recently we talked about going from CGI. When CGI happened, people were so worried. And it's the same thing with AI today. So I personally think that a lot of filmmakers don't realize the tools that they have at their fingertips. And I think that it's very difficult to find those tools today, which is an unfortunate thing that maybe someone here can fix, putting everything in one place. But I think once a filmmaker understands the tools that are available to them and acts as a friend instead of an enemy, I think their entire workflow and their creative, maybe not so much creative, but production in general could change. I say could because it's not for everyone, and some people might not like it. But if you realize the tools that are actually at your fingertips, and I don't know, you have one question and you're like, wow, I really can't find the answer, I don't know how to do this, or you're alone and you need help, you're like, oh, this is available to me, where I would be holding it up, I don't even know, doing something else, like putting the camera and the phone and the script there and trying to edit it through, I don't know. But using something that you know is available to you, but with caution. Caution could mean anything in anyone's brain, but with caution and finding that it's actually valuable to you, I think really changes the perspective of the way AI works in the world. And one more thing, I think that all the things that we're also building are bringing more jobs and more things. And like, I don't know, how big is your company? How many people? You know, like we all have more people and we're all creating more jobs for other people. And maybe it's someone that's not so filmmaker focused, but it's someone that's like business film focused, or I don't know, film tech focused. And they're finding new opportunities to strive in the industry as well.
So of course, are we concerned, or am I concerned about the future with generative AI regarding the workforce? That's a philosophical and a technical question that is relevant to all of industries. Of course, here we are in the entertainment industry, but it's true to medical, to manufacturing, to legal, health, everything. So my answer will be two parts. One, am I concerned? No. Two, do I think it will take jobs? Yes. Like a lot of other technologies that we had in the past, but it also can create much more capacity. So if you can shorten the time of production and cost, so yeah, maybe it will reduce the time of AD, casting director, line producer, but if it can increase the amount of capacity, then there is much more work for everybody. So I think it goes both ends, reducing technical aspect of specific part, but increasing the overall capacity. And the second part is that, in my opinion, it's sort of an irrelevant question, because we are not profit. We don't know how the future will be. We know it will have an effect. We still don't understand what will be the effect. But it's not relevant because it will be. There is no doubt, especially with technology that it is this disruptive and has this amount of capabilities, it will prevail. At least from history. So in my opinion, whether you like it, whether you don't like it, whether you fear of it, it's an irrelevant question. You have to harness it. You have to learn it. You have to understand how to utilize it for your benefit. You have to learn it, because this will be inevitable part of the entertainment industry future to come.
Yeah, I think similar to what you were saying there, it's the utilitarian aspect, the fact that if you use it as a tool, not just as a replacement for anything. In our case, specifically with actors, we're very conscious in keeping it at something that can help the actors book more roles, submit to more things, without really taking any jobs away, because it's just a reader that acts with you. And of course, you know, there's in generative AI, there's now, you know, AI personas appearing and things like that. But similar to what Michael was saying about, like, when it's a true story, you know, people connect to much more than just the character. People connect with the actor. And that's why even animated films in the past few years have all defaulted to attaching famous actors to play different roles and things like that, because people just don't connect to just the animated character. They connect with the actor that is behind that. And that is what people follow. That is what people, you know, become fans of. So there's an extra element of human connection that a generative figure might not ever get. And I think that's an important thing to keep in mind, that of course there are things that you have to be careful and you have to learn how to restrict it. But we think of AI as, even in a broader way, as fire or electricity. They can do a lot of harm if you don't control it, but if you are able to harness it and use it for specific jobs, that we use it every single day for very useful things.
Yeah. Very good and very important answers for all of us to hear, because I admit I spent the early part of last year, as soon as I accepted what you are saying, Yaron, that it's here and it's not going anywhere. That happened to me early last year. And my first instinct as a human being was to panic as a filmmaker, but more importantly as an educator who is training this next generation of filmmakers. And I know that AI is particularly in post-production, because I also teach post-production, the entry-level positions are getting impacted, most rapidly. So even for them, I feel I had a sense of concern. And then I'm glad that what you're saying, Yaron, it makes complete sense that it is here. There is no going back. So now the conversation is, how can we harness it? How can we focus on the tool, which Michael said are utility-based? That was my next question, which you kind of already answered, because I was going to talk about the line between AI being a production assistant or a utility tool versus being co-creator, because it's starting to tread the line and it goes into the Gen AI. I feel like it's also showing the potential to be the creator itself, which is, there is social media just so jam-packed with accounts which are fully, AI operated, AI generated. Correct, but it's being consumed, right? It's all millions and millions of views. So what is your thought or on the debate of AI being the assistant versus co-creator and its impact on our intellect? Because I think, at the end of the day, human beings seek convenience. And if I have the scroll after scroll on my phone and all those videos are entertaining, at some point I may not care that they're all AI generated. And that will impact, for instance, in this case, all those who are making money making content on social media. So thoughts on AI being assistant versus co-creator, and how it's impacting our intellect as a human race.
That's another great question, Nidhin. I would say that one of the things that we have to really sober up to as creative professionals is we have to accept that consumer tastes change. And that's a hard pill to swallow. If you are, a fan of a certain type of music, if the music never changes, it goes out of style. If fashion never changes, it goes out of style. Why does everybody love Radiohead? Because it's a different band every 5 or 6 years, right? They never go out of style. They set the new trends, and that's why they got 30 years of fans, right? Most creatives don't do that. Most businesses don't do that. And we could be in the mistake side of history if we don't understand that consumer tastes change. Yeah. And so we have to understand that trying to protect our legacy and our history might actually bite us, because we're protecting something that isn't as important to the rest of the world. When Christopher Nolan tries to say, we're going to make a movie in 65 millimeter and show it in 65 millimeter, nobody cares except for this town. Nobody else cares. But many of us here want to care, want it to matter so much because it means something to us. But the consumer tastes have changed, and they don't care if they watch, a Interstellar on a Apple Watch. It's fine with them. But Christopher Nolan dies inside when he learns that, right? If he could keep it out of airplanes, he'd be like, you can't watch my movies on airplanes. Yeah. It's not a good enough screen. Give it up. So we have to understand consumer tastes are change, and then we have to understand and not be threatened by disposable content. You made a great point. There's entire Instagrams and TikToks made completely with AI, but that's not content you're going to put on a shelf. It's not going to become a Criterion collection material, and we shouldn't be threatened by disposable content. If Ray-Ban is going to use AI to sell glasses, let them do it. It's totally fine. Oh, but filmmakers used to make Ray-Ban commercials. Not anymore. But who's that proud of a Ray-Ban commercial? Let's be honest. Are you going to, is that really, you know what I mean?
Is that your claim to fame that, hey, that.
Just saying, that shouldn't be your claim to fame. It can pay the bills. Yeah. but let's make content that matters and has longevity and isn't disposable, because that's the stuff that people covet. And if they covet it, they buy it, they save it, they put it on a shelf, because you all have a shelf with things that you covet at home. And we need to keep making that even if the tastes change.
Yeah, so I was totally thinking about taste. I think it all comes down to taste and also who you are as an individual utilizing the AI in general. So let's say there's someone who is deciding to take on this, I don't know, they're like, okay, I'm writing a sitcom. And they're like, it's just me and I need help. Could they use AI to help them write it and tweak the way they say things or help them like craft their jokes? Yes. But at the end of the day, I don't think that many filmmakers who appreciate film or any type of art for art will use it as a co-creator. I think that when you are creating something, you want it to be yours. And a lot of the time, I think AI could be very scary in that sense because it takes over you. It answers questions in 2 seconds. I mean, I use it all the time to help me build Hiike. Like, there's so many things that it answers. But when I go back and I review what I did compared to what the AI did, I always like what I did more. Yeah, it might have helped me tweak what I was doing, but I think utilizing it in the sense of for your taste and like for your art is so important because it isn't going anywhere and it's going to continue. And yes, people are scared, and I get it. It's scary. There's a million things happening all the time in this world that make it seem very scary. It costs a lot. It's doing a lot. It's taking over jobs. Yes. But I think that if you utilize it to help you craft your creativity, it will produce incredible results, more than you could have imagined you were going to produce yourself, because it answered some questions that you might not have had answered.
So I think both of you said two things that are a bit contradicting, and I agree with both. On the one hand, you said that maybe we will come to a future where people will get numb, whether it's generative AI or live action. And I agree on a certain level. And also today we have influencers, which are completely generative AI, that makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. And so it's already happening. And you said that there is a connection with the actor itself, not only the character, and I agree. If I will go to Comic-Con dressed as Batman, and I'm a fantasy guy, if I will go to Comic-Con, nobody will give a damn about me. If Christian Bale will go with a pajama, everybody will jump on him. So I do agree with you, there is a connection. I think what will be much more important for the audience, and I think it's also today, because if we look at animation, there is no live action. So you can say, okay, I draw it, I use a software to make the images, or I use generative AI. I think what will be crucial and is crucial today, it's the story and the production quality. This is, I think, what people are looking for. Also, we can see a very big differentiation between what, for example, studio executive think that the audience look. It's an A-lister. If you don't have an A-lister, don't even try to get funding. But if we look at, and I would love to see this data research, if you look about Netflix, for example, the most prominent shows don't have A-listers. Whether we saw Queen Gambit, Squid Game, we had the White Lotus, everybody loves them, and there is no A-listers or mega A-listers, and there is a lot of A-listers that the production and the story were not good. People just didn't watch them. So I think what will be very crucial is the quality of story and the production itself, whether it will be generative AI, physical. I believe that it will be a combination of both. Something will be generative AI, more of the less complex scene, insert or establish one. Kids running in the playground probably will generate with AI. You can create a lot of ideation, but a very complex scene will probably be make much more sense to go out and shoot outside. And also, the creative aspect is crucial. Let's take this scene, for example. A panel on the roof with 5 people and an audience. How do we look? What do we wear? What earrings some of us have? How the chair looks? All of those are very crucial for the success of the production. And this is a creative part. Whether I use generative AI to do pre-visualization or not, the creative part is crucial for the success of the story itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've covered pretty well in general. I think back to the point about evolution of media, I think we're just moving with AI to much more productions being generated by fewer people, which means more audiences at the same time. Like before, it was a super production, very few per year. The more, AI tools are allowing much smaller teams to produce bigger content in a way. So, I mean, and the optimistic take would be that there will just be more avenues for people to consume media if you do it properly, basically.
All good thoughts. I have a couple more questions. Break for audience question. Do I see any hand go up? Anybody feeling curious? Follow-up questions. I hope we are this is all great. I hope that we are informing your perspective on AI, informing how to shift or build your attitude as you're moving forward. Again, so many of you are probably working in film, are filmmakers, working in different aspects of filmmaking. So understanding how you can incorporate AI without being afraid of it could be life-changing for all of us. Yes. Very good thought. AI could genuinely help us become everything all at everywhere all at once. Because especially if you're an actor, I'm not jealous of you at all, because you really do have to be everything and do your UGC in the morning and do your vertical in the afternoon and write your script to make your dream feature at night. So maybe all your tools combined, that will make it possible for that actor to really exist and be successful. Anybody else? How are we doing on time?
We're doing good. It is 5:08 in actual 5:30.
Okay, awesome. Let's continue the conversation about the ethical considerations, because obviously one of the other concern apart from loss of job, which will always happen with the new invention, is also all the data security, deepfake, consent, people's work being stolen. Somebody is like, oh, that thing that I'd created many years ago, AI has just created a shot out of it. So how do you address, particularly at your platforms, the concerns about the ethical component of the use of AI, data security, privacy matters, and then in general, how bad that can get, especially with generative AI, on just everybody's work is owned by everybody then?
I have sort of a contrarian approach. My perspective a lot of people disagree with, but I kind of swing two ways at this at the same time. Essentially, I self-host all my AI models, so I don't want people's media to be trained on. So I self-host them. So if the model will learn on your media, but it's your media that it learns on, so it can recognize, Tyler's face on my account, but it would not recognize it on Danny's account. Tyler would be nobody to Danny's account. So it would just be that. However, at the same time, I actually, when you said three things, you talked about security, you talked about deepfake,
consent.
Yeah, and consent and ethics. Yeah. And I think the truth is, there has been so much stealing people's material is not new, and AI did not bring up plagiarism. That is so old. It is as ancient as the Bible, right? So it is always been around. So I don't get all hung up on what about plagiarism? What do you mean? Nothing's different, right? Yeah. So anybody can read a book, pick up a book, copy a book, and do that. That's not new. Maybe AI makes that faster, but it doesn't create it. So in my opinion, the courts I probably guess how they'll rule on this, but the idea of ethical AI, I disagree with, because there is no form of ethics that suggests that if somebody watches Tarantino films and then writes their own, that's okay, because it is. But if AI watches Tarantino films and writes something, it's not okay. That doesn't make sense.
Worried about it actually listing actual imagery
Sure.
And plagiarism has existed, but so has laws against it, penalties against
There has been, but the ability to the good news is that fingerprinting and watermarking things that are done by AI is actually been getting very, very good. So the ability to detect AI generated material will become so good that it will be easily filed into a category that this was generated and this was not. And so that's good. In music, it's really good. Like, it's really hard to steal music right now. It's so hard. You can hear music in a grocery store and it'll know in the background, like, that's a song, and it can, understand that, and it can pull it out. Or it puts an ad in YouTube. If you have a song and you put it in YouTube, you're going to get an ad because YouTube knows that's the song and you don't have a copyright to it. So they automatically give that copyright. So that's all already happening. But I think the idea of generating scripts or generating material with AI being an ethics concern, which some companies and some people do, I actually don't think it is, because I think it's already happened, and I don't think the courts are going to defend it. It would actually be impossible to litigate this. It would be thousands of years of litigation to try to undo what was copied through AI. So that's my perspective.
You have a question?
And then it also gets into the political conversation on, like, okay, where is the government that's starting to make laws, which needs to happen yesterday, that,
Will
like,
always be behind.
Yeah.
The government will always.
I think it was Denmark or Sweden that allowed
Yeah.
individuals to copyright their things.
Sure, sure.
And I hope that we have that same.
For sure.
We have to discover new regulatory laws, and we're discovering new programs and new AI. And things have to grow together. It doesn't mean just because it doesn't exist, never try and get it.
No, no, no. And I don't think that's what Michael is saying, that don't try and get it. It's just like, basically right now, the moment that we are in, it has left the dock, it's happening, and we are not responding to the ethical component of the AI use as rapidly as we should, as collectively as we should. And from the government or the leadership standpoint, I think we are way behind than where we should. I think the unions are still doing a little more than what the government is doing. And it's not just the problem, it's not just like US specific problem, it's so many countries, right? I'm from India, and India is taking so lead on so many different AI inventions, but are we also talking about ethics in the same way? No, not at all. So I think just globally, in terms of leadership and governments, we are definitely behind. Yeah. Yeah. Totally should say that. Yeah.
take what works, leave the rest, and move on. So I just real quickly, I sell watches in pandemic.
Yeah.
My business was buying from people in California and shipping to people around the world. In pandemic, well, everybody said, well, we can't speak to each other anymore. I can't go see you at a show. And they killed my 40 years of really making a very nice living because they started ChatGPT chats and they started WhatsApp chats. So now I lost the advantage of it. I wiggled my way in and I was petrified for a day. And I said I could either sit here petrified or I can work with it and figure a way out. And I figured a way out.
And you make it through, and with hopefully with like working how to put AI for your advantage instead of like working against it.
It's not going anywhere. There's going to be legal battles. I feel for people that are getting hurt in any industry from it, but I'm a firm believer. If you're driving here and Waze says go this way, and you hit a lot of traffic, you're going to go to Google Maps.
Yeah.
Because you're going to make a change.
Yeah. Danny, you were saying something?
Yeah, I just want to add, I mean, it's probably more case specific to us too, but I think outside of just the legal thing, because I do agree that legal is going to be difficult because they're always so behind and slow, especially in countries like this. But I do think there's a value to being open with what you're doing with your community, and the community appreciates it. We can see it, for example, with Duolingo, which recently got into a lot of trouble for miscommunicating something regarding what they were doing with AI. In our case with Rafy, we do have a whole page in our website that explains what we are doing and that we are not taking anything to do with your image, that we don't even have access to it. And we do feel like the community truly cares about that. So it's almost good for business, even though the legality might not quite be there. But as an AI frontal company, if you can explain that better and say, this is what we're doing, this is not what we're doing. Like in our case, again, we deal with actors, so nothing to do with image, nothing to do with voice. We're very outspoken that we don't take anything from your videos, everything stays on device. And that works for our business. So
I really love that. Yeah, and that was one of the intentions of my question as well, because like you are at the forefront of it. So I want to know like how are you addressing these questions at your platforms? And I love that you are like it's out there. We have put it on the page. We are not taking anything. We are not training any models using your content, and that is actually pushing your business forward because people feel safe using it.
Exactly. And again, it's not a legal issue in that sense because it's not like necessarily the laws are quite there yet. But I am confident that if we didn't address that, and if we were taking actors' faces, no one would use our app.
Yeah.
So the market itself is kind of teaching us where we need to take these ethical questions and kind of, address them properly and be outspoken about it and be clear to people to what we're doing with their IP, or their image, whatever it is that that they don't want to be giving away just so easily.
Tyler, like how is it at Hiike?
I want to talk about it at Hiike because it's actually a very interesting use case, because right now all we do is match you with the correct festivals. We use the basics of AI, which is machine learning. We actually had a conversation in the past week with an amazing person that's using data that he collected on his own about the industry to train a specific model. It's called Llama. It's like I think it's funny that it's called Llama. I love that it's called Llama. But that's something that we've thought a lot about at Hiike, and how to position AI-driven recommendations or data-driven recommendations. Because at the beginning and like at the get-go, it was we're going to be an AI-based platform, which yes, we use the like intricacies of it, and in the future we're going to train models based off of data that we've collected, which is really just festival data that we scraped from the internet that's public to everyone. And using those specific models, sorry, I just completely lost my train of thought. But using those specific models, if you're able to train the data and keep it unbiased because you're just pulling the information from the internet, filmmakers maybe will understand the positioning of it a bit better. That's why we're not an AI-driven platform, because we could easily market ourselves as an AI recommendation platform because we use pieces of it. But it scares people, and we know it scares people, and that ethical aspect of it and like the regulation on Hiike, I just want to say it's like we're not taking your information and your data about who you are as an individual. We're taking the information about your film and actually finding recommendations and then training which ones actually got submitted to festivals. So I just wanted to clear that up, that it's very low ethical. Yes.
So when you say you're taking information about the film, does that mean, oh,
Totally. So once you come onto our site, and if you want to submit, right, you upload using Alluvia, which is like a blockchain technology that you don't have to interact with the blockchain whatsoever. It just keeps costs down for us and gives filmmakers access to better analytics like DRM, so you can watermark your film to make sure that no one's taking it off the platform. They can't share it unless they have your permission, all of that stuff. So all of that's being touched by the festivals. Hike, me, and my co-founders and our team don't look at that. AI doesn't touch your film. The only thing that AI touches is the specifics of your film, so we can actually recommend you something, like the algorithms on Instagram and TikTok. They know what you're doing and your patterns. All we're doing is taking the patterns of your film with the patterns of other films that have been accepted to festivals to make sure that you are recommended ones that best fit you.
Yeah, I want to add that when Indy told me about your platform, it just like it makes so much sense, and it definitely is something that would make so many people's lives easier.
And it's Hike with 2 I's, Hiike.
Good job. Yes.
One eye was taken.
Any last thoughts on this, Yaron?
Just to add to what I agree with everybody, and especially everything that has to do with regulation and copyrights. It's very complex. It's very complex, and it was complex way before generative AI, whether it was with Emule. Probably most of you are too young to remember what Emule is. Emule, and then we had it with Spotify as well. So we already have this cycle of how technology is changing existing workflow, existing business model, and how to adapt. But going back to one of the first points we discussed, and what you just add, it's going to be here, and it's going to grow and grow, and the usage will grow. We in Imagine specifically are making all of those tools accessible. You don't have to use them if you don't want to. And we are also working only with the business API of those companies, because in the business API, they say that they are not using the information to train their models, only using them to answer the question, and then they delete their database. Same way that when you today send a script via Gmail, you don't send the script. You send a copy of the script, which means that Google has full access to everything you send, and we need to trust them. I think there will be a differentiation between direct copy, can I use your face or your voice, which also today I can't, or can I create something which is Quentin Tarantino style. Today I can also do that. And there is no doubt the regulation will have to sort of close the gap, not only because of the regulation, but also because of those companies. The model companies, only the model company raised today hundreds of billions of dollars, and they need a sustainable business model. And the big foot on TikTok is nice. It's not a sustainable business model. If they won't go into those industries that require regulation, they will also have a problem. So I believe that because of the fact that it's going to be used, and because of the fact that those companies have to strain their business model, the regulation, they will work together with the regulation to understand how to solve it on what you can. Some stuff, you'll just move on.
Well said. I already have been given that 5 minute, and out of that, I think 2 minutes we've already used. So last question, we'll make it quick. One advice that you want to give to anybody who is apprehensive about use of AI, and a platform, it could be yours or somebody else's, or an invention that's coming up that you are excited about, that we should keep an eye on. Advice, any invention, any app that we should look into apart from yours, or could be yours.
I would say that my advice is to find ways to identify what is the most painful parts of your workflow. Alan was talking about the parts that are annoying him the most, and whichever one that's the one you want to automate with AI. Don't think about AI replacing the parts of the workflow that are your favorites. Do that. If your favorite part is to color correct, don't use AI color. If your least favorite part is to color correct, use AI color. Right? And so find that. An AI color is a product that you can get, and it will, if you're bad at color correction, this will do that for you. So identify the parts of the workflow you hate and find an AI tool to do that part for you.
My answer is very similar, but also test the tools that are out there. Look them up. I hate to say it, maybe use AI to tell you and help you find the tools that are actually out there that are best for you. There are so many, and a lot of them are just like there and are amazing. And they could really, really, really help you. And I think that if you take a second, review them, spend like 3 hours, 2 hours, 30 minutes, seeing like what it can do and having a conversation with it, you'll find which one's best for you, and you might
realize that it can change a lot.
Sort of repeating what Michael and Taylor just said, just be curious. Just be curious. Open your eyes, open your ears, open your mind to understand how you can really, really harness all of those different technology to your benefit, whether it's in research phase, whether it's in character design, whether it's in the breakdown, whether it's in the filmmaking, and of course, submission, practice. Just be curious because it's not going to go anywhere. And this will be the future. We can already see it on small cases. Netflix, their CEO just talked that they did one generative AI scene in the Turnout, which is the Argentinian show. And he said it managed to reduce third of the time and it cost 10th of the budget. It was the building crumbling, and also in House of David, which I made the director, they also used generative AI in the workflow instead of VFX. And the results were amazing, and a significant amount of reduction of time and cost. So my suggestion, just be curious and learn every day new tools and how you can harness it to your benefit.
Yeah, I think I'm always fourth, so everything has been said pretty much. Yeah, I would say the same. I think staying up to date and facing the challenge, because it's happened too many times that the people that kind of sleep on it wake up too late. So, stay on the front and learn and accept the challenges. And the last thing, as far as like specifics, I would say don't get married to one. Like, don't just do ChatGPT. There's different models that are better at different things. So try them all. Be experimental. Try Gemini, try Perplexity, try Anthropic. Like, there's so many, and a lot of them have a free tier, and there's things that are better in each of them. So I think some people get too married to one single one, and they're all full of biases and stuff.
So round it up, be curious and open, go experiment. Understand AI is more than ChatGPT and Gemini. Difference between generative AI and AI that is there to make your lives easier, which is represented here brilliantly on this panel. And I love what Michael said, find what's your pain point and use AI to reduce that. And then whatever gives you life as an artist, keep doing that, pushing it forward. I want to thank thank you all once again. I want to thank the audience who took part in the conversation, made it more conversational than just like one-sided. I love that. Michael from Strada, Tyler from Hiike, Yaron from IMGN AI, and Danny from Rafy App. Thank you all so much. Come chat. And here's Inday physically pushing me off.
No. It's more so before you guys get up, I just want to thank you. That's a wrap on our summit for HollyShorts. So thank you for being a huge part of it and making it a huge success and eating all the food we had. I think there's still like remnants of crackers over there. We'll see you at HollyShorts. Thank you so much for supporting us by just being here. And thank you to our incredible partners on this panel. It's such an important discussion. We love you all. And that's a wrap. We'll see you at HollyShorts.